One trade can change everything.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I'm going to take a little bit of time today to talk about trusting your trading system. Okay, it's not something that you'll see, not really a common tutorial that you would find, but I think it's really important to talk about today because in the Discord I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, I'm on a losing streak, or you know, I don't want to get stopped out again, or I really don't know what's going to happen. I've been stopped out so many times, I'm not sure what to do. And I just kind of want to address some of that. I want to address that perspective, why it's happening, and the best way that you can counter it and continue to be a profitable trader. Okay, so I'm going to just show you guys like my personal situation right now. Basically from the start of the year, I've traded all of this really well in here, catching a lot of these longs and trades, channel trading in here specifically. I've done really well. In fact, as you guys know, I did that trading tournament in March that I managed to increase my portfolio by 174% in 28 days, right? And that was in a tournament. It was totally visible for everybody to see. And I was just on a massive winning streak. I mean, I won like 10, 12 trades in a row. I literally could not lose, right? I just kept winning. And everyone in the Discord was winning and they all loved it and everything was great, right? Now, ever since April had started, I've been on somewhat of a losing streak. Okay, I virtually have broke even on a lot of my trades. Things weren't really going as I expected to. You know, I was short here, took profit here, shorted here, took profit here, shorted here, did not take profit in here because I was expecting a breakdown. I wasn't happy with that take profit. I wanted more, which I should not have done, right? I should always trust the process, the channel trading process. And what happened? I got stopped out here. Price moved up here. Okay. And I traded this a little bit, but again, got stopped out here. And I didn't take my profits because I was expecting a larger breakdown. Similarly to similar to this, if we go to ETH, very similar sentiment. You know, we had this basically this rising wedge that I was looking to trade. Go ahead and remove this. I was looking to trade this, right? We took a short position in here. I took some profits in here. I was expecting a further breakdown. We did not get that. And I shorted in here, took some profit here. I got stopped out. Again, at this point, you know, virtually flat on the month. I looked short here because we're in this rising wedge. This would be my aggressive entry that I would look to trade down, get maybe a bear flag and compound it here. I shorted here, I got stopped out. And as a matter of fact, I even went a little bit on a larger position size on this one because I was fairly confident that we would break down. Now, if we zoom in, what was I looking for to happen here? Well, we got this swing failure pattern here. So I added more on my short here after already being short in here. And then what happened was I did not like this. This did not look very good. So I reduced risk here as I pointed out in the Discord, and then ultimately got stopped out in a very big way, right, with this massive move up. So now all of a sudden, right, we're on something of a losing streak. I've been very much on a bias towards shorts because I've been expecting some degree of a breakdown that we did not really get, right? Price sort of kept chugging to the upside. And, you know, basically my system said short, so I've been shorting, and nonetheless, I've been getting stopped out, right? And so here's what I want to point out to you guys, okay? And this is where things can get dangerous, that you allow your emotion to take over rather than trusting your trading system. So in my system, let's say I love trading wedges, I love trading channels, I love trading deviations. I love looking at, you know, delta funding rates, looking for trapped positions in order to determine swing positions, right, off of high time frame levels. I enjoy trading using a 618 back test, right, things like that. You guys have seen me use these all the time, and you saw me, like I said, in March, I went on a massive winning streak using these techniques, swing failure patterns, all of these things, right? And they've worked. Now here, I'm applying that same system. I'm applying that same system in here in all of these spots that we've been stopped out on, right? So I'm, like I said, I'm on something of a, not necessarily a losing, I would say, but let's just call it a losing streak, where I'm flat as of last night, a little bit in loss, right? And when this happens, and I saw this in the Discord, we get up here, and I post in the Discord, I said, everything is screaming to short ETH. We have largely positive delta. We've grabbed a shit ton of liquidity. We had a lot of trapped longs up here. And the one missing piece that we did not have here was largely positive funding rates, which meant that everybody was longing up, you know, basically into the highs or at the highs here. And I posted that and was like, you know, I'm going to short, right? Everything is screaming short. And I saw in the Discord some people entered longs, or some people closed out their shorts because they were fearful of getting stopped out because they've been stopped out, you know, X amount of times, however many times beforehand, right? What is this? This is emotion in losing faith, losing trust in your trading system. Okay, so here's what that means. And I'm going to use, I'll just use a rising wedge as an example here, okay? Because a rising wedge is very common. A lot of people trade based on these. Now, a rising wedge, is it going to play out perfectly every time? Is it going to win every time? No. Obviously, this is a perfect example of that. This rising wedge, this is a bearish pattern, right? It's a bearish pattern, and we had some bearish divergence form in here a little bit, right? This, according to our system with wedges, would say that our aggressive entry for a short would be here. We would trade it down here, look for maybe like a bear flag here, enter compound, and then trade it down to like the 0.5 fib, maybe the monthly open here, right? Instead, price breaks to the upside. Now, here's the thing. If every single time now that price on a rising wedge comes here on the third touch, everything says positive funding rates, we have bearish divergences, it says, your system says you should short here. Now, if in the future you get this set up again and you say, oh my gosh, I remember that last time I got stopped out, I'm not going to do it. And then it plays out perfectly. Or the time after that, you say, oh, okay, well, it played out again. I'll do it this time. And then it breaks to the upside and you get stopped out again. Right? You flip-flop back and forth as to when you're going to trust your system. Okay? The idea is this. A rising wedge is not going to win every time. Let's just say a random number I'm throwing out there. Let's just say it wins 65% of the time. Let's say 70. We'll just a nice round number. Let's say it wins 70% of the time. Okay? So 70% of the time, if you shorten here, when there's bearish divergence, largely positive delta, maybe some positive funding rates, whatever it might be, you're touching here, this is your aggressive entry, and you're going to trade it down 70% of the time, it's going to play out, right? Those 30% of the time, you're not going to say to yourself, oh my God, I think this is one of the 30, and then be right every single time. Okay? The point is that you would take the trade here and you would let yourself get stopped out. Okay? Because you trusted the system. If there's the bearish divergence, the largely positive delta and funding rates, and you're at the top of this for a third touch, you're nearing the apex of the wedge, all of these things say that it's time to short. So you have to trust the system. You have to trust it, even though sometimes you're going to get stopped out. And that's okay. Sometimes you'll go repeatedly with getting stopped out on your system. And sometimes you go with repeatedly winning, right? But the point is that if you win 70% of the time on your wedges, you're not picking and choosing, you're trusting the system. If you win 75% on that, what is that going to look like? Well, you come over here, and this is a part of the risk management trading tool that you guys can download online. If you win, let's just say 60 to 70% of every falling wedge, right? You take that trade 100% of the time, 100% of the time, with all of those conditions at the top of the wedge, near the apex, on the third touch, whatever, you're going to take it every single time. But you're only going to win let's say 60 to 70% of them, at even a 1.5 win-loss ratio or a risk to reward ratio, you're going to make between $2,000 to $3,000 a month with these risk parameters and this starting balance. And that's just it. Now, if you pick and choose, if you don't take that trade 100% of the time, if you don't take this short, if you don't take this short here 100% of the time, and you pick and choose when you're going to take that short, then it's likely that you're going to actually lose. It's more likely then that your win-loss is probably going to go down further because you're using your emotions getting involved. You're more likely going to be in this lower bracket, right? Because maybe instead of taking this short 100% of the time, maybe sometimes you're like, no, I'm not going to take it. And then it goes like this. Or maybe sometimes you say, okay, I am going to take it this time. I think it'll work out. And then it does like what it did last night. It pumps and you get stopped out, right? You have to take the trade 100% of the time, whether it's your swing failure patterns, your deviations, your channels, your wedges. You have to trust that you have fine-tuned that system of trading, those setups, you've fine-tuned them to say that they're going to win more often than they will lose for me. And not only that, because I use proper risk management, my losses are always going to be smaller than my winners. Trading profitably is an equation. It accounts for losing. You're expected to lose. And even if you go on a losing streak, you have to trust your system. You can't all of a sudden get the move up here and say, well, I shorted here, I got stopped out. I shorted here, I got stopped out. Even though my system says short here, my system said short here, my system said short here, I got stopped out. Even though my system says short here, this time I'm not going to do it. I'm going to flip long, and then it happens. Trust your system. It's one of the most important things you can do. And also journaling, right? You want to journal and take note and zoom in here and say, okay, like, you know, we did this swing failure here, right? What happened here that told me that that swing failure was no longer valid and would have meant that I should totally close my trade and keep myself from losing out? Fine-tune your setups. Fine-tune your system. And most importantly, trust your system. Okay, guys? All right, as always, thank you for watching.